stand for the pledge and prayer. We will get started.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Oh God, we thank you for the freedom and opportunity we have to assemble as we have here this evening. The land of the free because of the brave. We ask you, Lord, to lead, God, and direct the proceedings, to not let the decisions that are made be pleasing in your sight and beneficial to the people of our area. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Note for the record that we do have a quorum present, and we have a set of minutes from March the 12th that should be before you. I've heard of one minor tweak, top of page 2, South Fork West, phase 2. And anyone else have any other suggestions?
I'll make a motion to accept these, but I also have an issue where you go down to that last paragraph where starts the issue with. It says the issue with the easement is that there is money runoff. If there is, I'd like to go over there and start off. But I believe it's supposed to be money.
Where's that at?
WDDY.
Artificial intelligence let us down.
Yeah.
I drove by there 3 or 4 times, didn't see him there.
It wasn't green.
And just for record, I listened to this on that and wrote these, so if there's anything that needs to be added, I know Kyle and I think maybe Tim at one time were saying some things. If I didn't hear it and they need to be added, feel free, because like I say, I can only do with what I had.
Commissioners, any other tweaks or
Just
changes?
so I understand, we've got 2 changes in there. The motion is to change the money runoff to muddy runoff. And South Fork, it's now South Fork West on the second page, very first paragraph, correct?
That's the 2 I've heard, yes.
Okay.
We have a proper motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries, and the minutes are approved with those changes. Mr. Lemons called me this afternoon, and he has 2 planning commission meetings he has to attend this evening, and asked for just a couple of minutes to address us on a matter that we'll hear next month. Potentially, we won't be required to act on this, but courtesy, want to give him the floor for a couple minutes to tell us what you think we need to know.
Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, and I appreciate you letting me get up here and knock my thing out. It's amazing. Planning commissions tend to meet on Mondays and Tuesdays. Pretty much every week there's a planning commission meeting somewhere, and I just happen to have 2 meetings tonight, so I appreciate you letting me come up here and talk to you. I have a little sketch I'd like to hand out, and this will kind of says for itself. Yes. And while y'all are opening that, this is something we're going to be bringing before the Planning Commission formally next month. If you remember, back about 3 years ago, we rezoned the property behind Walmart to multifamily. We have now decided to change direction and go with single-family detached homes. And so we are bringing this to you as a PUD because we are needing to get 50-foot width on the lots. And the only way to get that is a PUD. But the rezone is going to be from R3 and the commercial area, which is the little piece that runs off to the west of the main body. That is actually C2 right now. We're going to rezone all of it to a PUD for single-family detached homes. And I just wanted to give this to you. I think it's kind of become protocol to do this prior to a planning commission rezone. So we plan on turning everything in this Friday for the deadline. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
I don't at this point. James, you've got everything you need, or you will have to advertise or whatever needs to happen, right?
Yeah, but
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Lemons at this point on this matter?
I would like to point out that the density when we were doing multifamily was close to 8 families per acre. We are now down to about 5 families per acre, so it's going to be a great reduction in density, which of course that translates into fewer cars and less trouble.
Mr. Lemons, I heard you say you wanted to, Mr. Lindsay wants to bring this in as a planned development district. Is that what you said?
Yeah, PUD or whatever the nomenclature
I think it's
is.
PDD here.
PDD,
But same,
okay.
similar.
And I need to go back and change all my paperwork, so
I
everything I
think-
got
Well,
is PUD.
you've got a PUD on this, but yeah.
Right.
when
It's
you
the same
use the
thing.
term PDD within this, I'm gonna assume that's why you've got these 40-foot front lots and 50-foot front lots on it,
No lot is less than 50 feet, but yes, that is correct.
except for lot 17, 18, 19,
106, 105.
20,
28, 29.
5, 6, 7.
Oh, okay.
That's,
The 50 feet is measured at the building line.
Okay.
So that's why they're kind of wedge-shaped lots, so due to the curvature of the road. But at the building line, they're all 50 foot.
Okay, so, and I'm gonna address this to Mr. Lindsay. It appears you want to bring this in as a planned development district, correct?
correct.
Okay. Within the provisions of a planned development district, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so we pretty much clearly enumerate what that is. 14.9.1, allow greater flexibility with respect to development standards with superior development, provide more usable and suitable located open space, recreation, and other common areas that would otherwise be required or possible under conventional land regulation use, encourage comprehensive and innovative planning and design of diversified yet harmonious development, provide more efficient and economic development of varied land uses and public facilities and services to support them, and allow for mixed-use development when such design contributes to the furtherance of public development goals, enhances the quality of surrounding land uses. That's the reasons or the intent of the PDD. I see one common area there,
That's detention.
and it's backside there. I know there's a little bit of water that goes through there. I don't see any other common areas, any other benefits other than very small neighborhoods. Is this PDD or just an attempt to bring in 50-foot lots?
This is a sketch plat for you to look at. and tell
This
us
is
you
what?
want. This is a sketch plat for you to look at and tell us what you want.
Thank you.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Chair.
very
See
much.
next
Appreciate
month.
your time. Yeah, Mayor?
Yeah, on this planned development district, you know, city, we continue to see requests for smaller lots. There is no zoning district currently for 50-foot lots. And so to place something smaller than, that's not a current zoning district, it has to go somewhere. And I think the PDD is a floating zone, and it can be for smaller lots. It can be for anything that's not currently in a zoning district. Now, I have spoke with the Arkansas Municipal League and their planners, and one of my specific questions was that can a developer submit 4 lots, and lots only, for single-family dwellings that are just smaller lots at a 50-foot, 5-foot side yards? His answer was yes. It's something that is called affordable homes. And so when we look at that and we say, well, is this only for the developer and his intent of smaller lots? No. I mean, definitely they're gonna get more lots on an acre. But it's also for the economics of the city for affordable homes. And so my concerns were the same as your concerns, but it has been entered that they can submit under a planned development district. And the planning and zoning has the authority to say yes, no, send it back for more study, or negotiate or say, yes, but we want to see this in this district, or we want to see these other things, you know. So you have the power, I believe, to negotiate what is good for the surrounding areas. And definitely you have the authority to deny something that is not good for a surrounding area. So there may be places that a planned development district is more suitable than other places. And I think planning and zoning and the council, they have that authority to amend or suggest in a planned development district. So what I see is that we need a solution, a resolution to this matter of something other than R1 or R4. Currently, we know what R4 is, 65 foot, 12 foot side yard, 8 foot side yard. And so now we're being request for 50 foot, 5 and 5. And so I think that we owe the courtesy to the developers to say yes or no. And we've been batting this around for quite some time. And so I think that either we use them, you know, in a PDD or say, no, you know, only thing we're gonna have is 65 foot lots. But I have read this, Michael, I read what you read, and I also read the remainder of it that says floating zone. And things that are normally not allowed in one district can be allowed in a PDD. So,
And Mayor, I appreciate your input on that. That being said, this is an ordinance. We're here to review it based on the ordinance. And until the ordinance changes, which is outside of our purview, that's a city council purview, we have to obey the ordinance as it is printed.
and I think that under the guidelines of the state statute, you can suggest amendment to the text under those guidelines, and you can suggest have a public hearing, and we can do an amendment to the text as desired by the planning and zoning or the city council. You know, so that's what I'm asking you. If you don't like what's being done, you want to amend anything to allow for a 50-foot lot to be submitted on a PDD, or just say, no, I don't want it at all. That's where we got to go. Eventually, we got to give an answer.
I think, if I can just interject here, we're a commission. But it sounds like what you're saying is that if we want to allow this, then there needs to be, you know, a change here. We're not really the people's voice, as you, and like Mike said, we're here to enforce the code. I would say if the city council, through talking to their folks that they represent, want to put something out, give us something to look at, then I think we could look at it. But you know, I looked at this, and the very first questions that came to my mind, if I may, was we look at this as a PDD, and I went and I looked through. I don't know how many websites I looked at, real estate websites, where these real estate agents and real estate companies are talking about PDDs, and they all say pretty much the same thing. They talk about these different amenities and open spaces, and they all pretty much have the same characteristics. But yet, this one, none of these do. So my first question was, well, are these going to be marketed or sold as homes in a PDD? Okay, and if they are, then you're kind of going against what the market definition of a PDD is. And then I look at these drawings, and I ask, considering what Mike just read, you know, about innovative planning and design, superior development, and I ask, I live in Terrace Meadows. What's the difference between this and Terrace Meadows? Nothing, other than the fact that it's smaller lots.
30% smaller.
Yes, so, I mean, for that matter, do I live in a PDD? I mean, there's got to be some differentiation. And if we get into the business of, well, we'll grant you, but not you, that's kind of dangerous water to be treading on here, or ice to be treading on. If they want a different district, then I suggest that it be drawn up, presented by the city council. Because if I was to say something right now, I would say the only way I could approve any of this is if someone were to say, okay, let's meet some of the requirements, let's put in some sidewalks, let's require communication between, let's have an HOA, things like that, to at least make it look like a PDD. But right now, there's no difference between this and Terrace Meadows, and the only difference is it's not superior, it's kind of an inferior design by 30%.
Other commissioners have any comments you wish to make? I mean, I think that, the key question here is, do we want to have under any circumstances developments of less than the existing 65 feet? I mean, that's kind of a yes, no. And then I guess if majority thinks we should have smaller lots, then we have to determine, do we modify this language, or do we interpret this language to be open enough to do it? Or do we have a new R5 that has X, Y, and Z that's required if you want a 50-foot lot? I don't know.
We got raked over the coals on Terrace Meadows about no parking in the streets.
Yeah.
Fire department was there, the police were there, so, I mean. and
I'm not
these-
disagreeing.
I was on the city council when it went to 65 and 812 side yards. I was on the city council, this was actually my last city council meeting, this was rezoned, and it was sold as a, pretty nice upscale, older people, nice community thing. For me, as my position as a commissioner, for it to be the highest and best use to have this beside a Walmart, I don't necessarily know that I could agree with that. I'm not saying that there doesn't need to be PDDs like this here, there, or anywhere, but I think that would probably be needed to be changed in the ordinance on how we can interpret it. I don't think that's I don't know. And that's, again.
Mr. Lindsay, would you consider, since that area's already zoned R3 out there, would you maybe consider zero lot, side lot townhouses out there?
Yeah, I would consider it.
I mean, you could do a 100-foot wide lot with the same number of homes out there, except for possibly problems in the corners.
Nathan, does the 6,500 square foot lot scale to be?
The only condition that you're gonna run into is the size of these double lots would have to be, give me a second. They'd have to be 1,500 square foot for the lot area.
Or put the multifamily in a PDD.
Multifamily, 1,500.
Or he could put the multifamily in a PDD.
Yeah, you could do that too, because PDD would allow that. I'd still like to see some of the amenities that we expect in a PDD. And then if you have common areas, you've got to have provisions to care for the common area, the HOA or something like that.
I think we probably in some ways were dreaming big when this was first written. I didn't have any gray hair, but when this was first written, I think we were seeing things like several acres coming in, there being a mixed use where you have some housing, some commercial,
Recreational.
Recreational, maybe there's a coffee shop. I don't know. That's kind of things that I think at least came to my mind then. But, I mean, I think the key question is, how do we feel as a city about 50-foot lot widths?
That's the exact question, and that's all I was asking, is how we feel about that. And is it going to be, no matter what they do or anyone does, submit, is it going to be acceptable or considered? And if it's not going to be considered, they need to quit submitting it.
If I may just make one comment, it kind of piggybacks off what everybody else said, but there is some nice PEDs, in other cities that have been developed that are super nice. I mean, I know of several, but we've not been approached since I've been sitting here with anything like that. And it is, mostly like retirement community type stuff where they do have a lot of recreational. They've got one gardener that does everybody's yard. Everything looks the same. Everything's neat, nice, something like that. It would be a nice addition to our city, I believe, you know, and I feel like others would too, but so far, we've not really seen a plat on anything similar to that. I mean, to me, I can't differentiate this from a regular subdivision myself, you know.
Just small lot.
Just smaller lots, yeah, and I know, I mean, from what I read on the rulings, we don't have the authority to approve it just based on what to, you know, build smaller lots. It has to, you know, like I said, have enhancements and enhance the city, so I don't think it's really a matter of us not wanting it or wanting it, it's just the right development, you know.
And if we did have the authority to, then we'd be looking at variance after variance. And it'd be kind of hard to say yes to one and no to another if it's just based on our judgment. That's why we need something, in my opinion, hard copy.
I think the PDD puts the power in our hands
Yeah, it
to negotiate with the
It
developer.
does, and I think that's in some ways beneficial.
Yes.
But, I mean, if anybody has a different opinion here, please express. I'm not hearing anybody that thinks 50-foot
You
wide.
know, I don't think you put a trailer park out at Hidden Valley. You know, so if somebody come up with that, I don't think we put low-income housing in a PDD beside it.
I don't think any of us are wanting to say that, hey, we just don't want this at all. It's just, you know, this is the same, development that was gonna have pickleball courts and all that before, I believe, isn't it?
I don't remember pickleball, there's gonna be upscale apartments.
Okay, I was thinking somebody had mentioned pickleball, but anyways,
Mayor, I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not hearing a lot of support for 50-foot lot widths in general. I mean, of course, if the council passes an ordinance, we're gonna enforce whatever.
Well, I don't think so. I'm not in that, I don't think that that's what the council is asking or wanting to do, is supersede the powers of the planning and zoning at all, with respect to decisions of the planning and zoning any work. And so I don't think the council wants to supersede or override any of that. It's just the problem is that James continues to get these requests and I continue to get these requests, and so are we going to consider any of these requests in the future, or should these submittals like tonight?
Mayor, what we don't
have
want
a
to,
provision for it.
what we don't want to
Not
create
even in
is
a
the
PDD,
parking
we
issues
don't
like
want
Terrace
to-
Meadows.
I think,
You know, I mean, those, granted narrow lots out there, narrow driveways, they can only get one, maybe two cars stacked in the driveway. So the third car parks out front. For weekends, they have friends over, you got cars stacked both sides of the roads. So that's what we're trying to avoid is the congestion that like the bottom of Terrace Meadows there.
I don't have a problem with 50-foot lots in the right place,
Yeah,
done the right way.
with ample
Sounds
off-street
like,
parking and all that.
so it sounds
That's
like
great.
there's consensus for that if there are a lot of strings attached.
Well, no,
Yeah.
if it's in a, it meets the requirements of the PDD.
Yeah.
which I think, I mean, the way I read it, in order for that to be approved, somebody's gonna have to bring the development, we're gonna have to decide, does it meet it regardless?
You
know.
said something about negotiating with the developer.
Sure.
I mean, I could sit here and read website after website and list probably, 100 different possible amenities. You know, I guess, but what you're saying is negotiate, maybe add this and add that, and then we could, and that's, that would be a possibility too, but,
I think that was the vision of
Well,
this
but we
PDD to
would just
begin
need to
with.
have something concrete to tell these people, because they're spending money on engineers and stuff, and I get it, okay? But we need to figure out what do we have to have as a baseline to say, so when they go to develop these things, that they're not spending much money coming back up. And we're not trying to do that, it's not the point here. But the point here is, we don't wanna try to circumvent what would potentially be like an R5 zoning with a PUD. Okay, so we need to figure out what we gotta have in this PUD to make it work, so these guys, if they're wanting to do this, that they gotta do it, and
But a PDD is a floating zone
Right.
designed for that.
Right.
That way they don't put low-income housing stuff against,
yeah, and
you know.
and
I
that's,
So
think
I'm
that-
asking a question here that may be a bad question, so forgive me if it is, but are you seeing in this initial, we just got this a few minutes ago. Do you think this is materially different enough or not?
well, this is beside.
I'm hearing
Walmart.
no, but I might be hearing
This
wrong.
is beside Walmart versus there might be one, out off your back road. I'm just saying, for instance, for sake of argument here.
But I
Is
guess
that
what I'm
something that
asking
we need
is,
to ask, is that something we need to bring up in each one, is depending on where it's, and then you're gonna say, who are we picking and choosing, or why are we picking and choosing?
I
So-
think that's the point of the PDD, is
It
we're
is,
supposed
yeah.
to determine,
And
is
I-
it good for the
so we need-
neighborhood,
but we-
et cetera. But having said that, I mean, I think that there, a strong argument can be made, it needs to be materially different than another submission with significant differences other than lot width.
I would agree.
And I understand, what the mayor said about, more affordable housing, but, I mean, we don't know what these lots are gonna sell for, or how much the houses are gonna cost once they're complete. It
That's
may
a-
be more expensive houses, so it'd be, with what we see here. I mean,
And there's no way legally for us to put a regulation.
right.
And that's
Or
a,
the city council.
that's a consideration too. When you start using the term affordable housing, you gotta remember, there are government programs that are for affordable housing. And if you look at those by definition, they're for folks who can spend 30% or less of their annual income on a home. So you start advertising it as affordable housing, gotta be careful with that too.
So I'm just trying to get the developer some clarity here. And push back if I'm hearing wrong. It sounds like that we're expecting, if they're going to approach us with a PDD request, that the development needs to be significantly different in a meaningful way other than lot size. Is that right?
Correct.
For a P.
Now, I guess that still leaves the door open to what's significantly different.
Well, and you
I
get,
don't know.
as, we're not all gonna be here forever. The next planning commission may have a different definition of significant, different than we do. So there's gotta be a little bit of standardization there too.
I hope that's helpful. I think that's kind of where we're at.
Well, I think that some months back, there was something submitted, to maybe look at, to, maybe, adapt into a PDD, where if it were a 50-foot lot, that there would be sidewalks, there might be a street 60 foot to the 40 foot and parallel parking. There might be alleyways along the back for service entrance, so that you could front, every lot has a front and a back. That was my interpretation at that time of a PDD. And then when I called, and I'm just relaying what I was told from the Arkansas Municipal Court, when I called and questioned about all that, it was not necessary. They have an opportunity to submit a smaller lot for affordable housing. That's all I'm trying to say. But we, at this time, do not have any type of district to allow these submissions. And if they're not gonna be considered under a PDD, then we need something specifying that they're not unless what you're saying there is what I'm hearing is something more of an upscale, that they have a service entrance, they have sidewalks and that type of thing. I think that's what I'm hearing. But then these people that are submitting this, that becomes unaffordable housing, and for them, they can do an R4 development cheaper than they can do an affordable housing.
Defeats the
development.
point, more or less,
So
of
then
doing
if
it
that's,
this way.
if we need a different district, but at the same time, PDD is something that each one is considered independently and based on the surrounding neighborhoods and such, that they can be denied or not. If you do a 50-foot district, zoning district, then there's no denial. There's only 50-foot lots, and it may be, it'd be just like any other district, R4, that's submitted flat, and if it meets the requirements of the district, then it's approved.
As far as on-street parking, you can build the same structure on a 65-foot wide lot as you can a 50. You still put a 40-foot wide product on it, right? Okay,
Yes.
so you could mandate a 20-foot wide driveway width and fix all the on-street parking issues. They pull these driveways 16 feet wide and you can't park 2 cars on them. Change it to 20 feet and you can park 2 cars on it easy. No one's parking in the yard. So the yard's not an issue. The width of the lot's not an issue. No one's parking in that extra 15 feet. Does that make sense? So,
So those are maybe some things you need to bring back to us if you want a PDD.
right. I'm just,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, that would strengthen
Yes.
the opposing argument to the parking problem.
And I think every PDD is unique.
Agree.
So I guess the answer is, in the interim, we would consider these, but probably won't be real favorable consideration unless they're materially different.
Come back with some amenities, something to differentiate it from the normal development.
That's what I'm hearing.
And
Y'all agree?
amenities, sidewalks, back to the back drive, and I don't even think, didn't we agree that you didn't have to pave the back lots? Or not the back lots, but like the park behind? Is that, I mean, I'm asking, I don't know.
Well, you gotta work out who's responsible for it,
Well,
so.
but- And then,
Some
that's
people,
it.
some people pay them, some don't.
And then the HOA, and how it should be maintaining things like that. I mean, that would
Oh, yeah.
probably get rid of some of those problems, especially.
You know, I view a PDD as a neighborhood in its own.
I'd really like to know what Arkansas real estate agents define a PDD as. Because if you're gonna zone, or if you're gonna grant them a PDD, they're gonna market it as a PDD.
I mean, that's, I'm not gonna, I don't comment on that. I mean, it's, the text is there, what's different about it? You know what I'm saying, as far as a PDD. Originally, the PDD was, I think we compared it to like the gated community beside Purple Onion and Cabot. Was what we originally said it was gonna be.
Yeah.
And so now we changed from that to, a 50-foot front, affordable home. And so and I'm not saying that we can't meet in the middle somewhere. I'm not saying that, but originally I think that's what, hey, this is what this is gonna be. Now we're saying, hey, it could be this. Maybe there's something in the middle that we can all decide, hey, this is what it's gotta be to make it different. Whether it's sidewalks, gated, yada, yada, I'm not saying that would be feasible to do.
But don't forget the raking we got over the coals on Terrace Meadows for months. And these are 30% smaller.
It's a challenge, for sure, no doubt.
Parking would have to be.
All right, I guess I'm gonna move on to the next agenda item unless somebody has something meaningful to add at this point. We have a rezone request for 543 Davidson Road from C2 to R1. Someone here this evening to discuss that? Okay. We always do have to have a public hearing on any rezone request. James, this has been sufficiently advertised and all those things, correct? So we'll call that hearing to order. And sir, if you'd like to kind of tell us the reason for your rezone request, and then we'll give anybody else an opportunity to be heard that would like to be.
Okay. Devontae bought the entire piece of property that runs from the highway back to Nick's property. I own 543 Davidson, which is the property next to Nick's. When I found out that Devontae bought that, I tried to buy it previously, unsuccessful, because I wanted the piece of property behind me so no one put a junkyard or boats or trash or whatever. So we found out that Devontae bought it, so we negotiated a price. Then Devontae had a surveyor out to survey the property. Devontae and I and the surveyor went to the corner of my existing property, and I did one of these. I wanted here, from this point to that point at the creek. Unbeknownst to us, where the commercial ended and the residential started. So that's how I wound up having 56 foot of commercial property. And I just recently found that fact out. So to avoid any problems for my children when they pat dirt in my face, I'd like to get this rezone, so the property, the entire property that I own is R1.
Fair request. Thank you for explaining that to us. Anyone else wish to be heard on this matter? Okay, we'll call the public hearing to a close. Commissioners, questions, comments? Motion.
Yeah, that was part of whenever, we were just rezoning everything that was empty down 64, and it just so happens it divided right on the property, so.
We do have the legal on it too, the legal description, correct?
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
I go ahead and make a motion to approve Mr. Donald Walker's rezone from C2 to R1 at 543 Davidson.
Second. Proper motion, multiple seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the motion carries. The rezone is recommended for approval. Next item on our agenda, Central Arkansas Auto Auction Development. Davidson Engineering. Will you give us your comments, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mayor Davidson here on behalf of Mr. Hooten and Central Arkansas Auto Auction. I'm excited about this project. I'm sure you all are familiar with CAAA and their current operations. If you've never been there on a Wednesday during the auction, it's pretty neat. I went and sat in on one as we were working on this. I was shocked. I didn't realize how many vehicles were sold out of that facility just about every Wednesday of the year. It's a pretty neat operation. So this is an expansion of that. Right now, from visiting with those guys, I think they can handle and sell 400 to 500 vehicles a week. And they're turning away vehicles because they're maxed out on their capacity of their current facility. So another aspect that I didn't realize till I'd sit on, there's a certain hospitality aspect too. These are car dealers coming in and buying used vehicles to sell. And so they serve these car dealers meals and refreshments and have areas for them to sit between vehicles that they're trying to buy. And so it's pretty crowded in there also on Wednesday. So what this project entails is an expansion of their existing facility, sort of along the freeway there. It includes a new office area and auction house for on the northeast end adjacent to the property and a portion of the property that the city purchased for development. And it all ties in with their existing facility and existing lot. Ultimately, that existing building that they operate of now would still be there. It would not be part of their auction. It would be office space and for use for their personnel. If you go on Wednesday, you'll see, I don't know the number, but it appears to be 40 or 50 employees working on a Wednesday. So if they're able to expand their operations, they certainly have to add staff as well. So this allows for that. But what you'll see here is a connection to the new roadway that the city's constructing as part of their developments. And a new gatehouse. So the lot area is totally secure. Those vehicles have to be checked in and out as they come and go, and not open to the public. It's open to CAA personnel. But I think we submitted the items and the drainage calcs to James and Mr. Breckenridge that are required. That's sort of a brief summary of the project, but I'll try to answer any questions as you have them.
Mayor, is the pink the new building?
The pink is the new building, that's right.
Is the additional parking where it's low right there that they bought from the city, gray? Or am I turned around?
Which part?
The gray, the parking pads on the parking lot?
Yeah, that dark gray is heavy-duty asphalt, so that's an offloading area. They don't allow the big trucks to enter into the main area of their lot.
Is that new or old?
That's new.
Okay.
So that's offloading area and parking area for semi-trucks. The lighter gray above that or north of that is parking for the public, for not necessarily public, but for car dealers, for their customers, I guess I should say.
So what we're looking at here is almost all new or not?
All of that is new, that's
Okay,
right.
that's what I thought.
When you go to that, it's such a big site, we had to put it on 2 sheets, or otherwise you couldn't read even most of it. If you go to that other sheet, James,
Sure.
it shows the south end, same
The,
thing.
the bottom left is future potential parking, right?
Well, that was a bid alternate. We weren't sure we were gonna get to include that in the project, but as of this morning, visiting with the construction manager, that's all we included. It's the same
Okay.
thing.
But that's customer parking.
No, sir, that's part of their
That's
inventory market.
inventory parking. Okay.
So this, I think this helps. This is the existing building here.
Okay.
This is their current inventory parking. This is new inventory parking, including that pink that was a bid alternate that is being included, and that, the new auction house is further north off this.
So most, or a lot of the traffic will be entering from Henry and not.
That's right. Yeah, only like CAA personnel and traffic.
And I assume it is on according.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, one other thing to note, this is I want to point out, there's some drainage right now. This area kind of all drains southeasterly. Goes into a culvert here that runs under their existing facility and dumps out somewhere over around McDonald's, it goes underground. So this is a large proposed detention pond here that all this drains to.
They show joining.
Will it be wet or dry there?
Dry pond.
And that's on site, right?
It's on side part of their property. It'd be under the bank.
That's a pretty big show of joining the city property on.
On the net sheet, you can see that.
They're kind of turned.
I can spell it. That's all.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe. See if I got it. So this line is shared with that city property mayor that y'all purchased along the freeway. This is the freeway here. So this is that. I don't know who y'all bought it, but y'all bought that big parcel where it's burning or work out there. This is that one.
Where am I at? No. Am I down?
Down and left, I think.
I think you're
I
right.
think.
Yeah.
This is a cul-de-sac. Kyle sent us y'all's, early on sent us y'all's plat.
So that's the end of the street that's going in across with our security basically.
Yes, sir. Here. Then y'all had a cul-de-sac shown on there.
The street that's proposed going to their property is going to run along from West Mississippi, Merseyside Transportation. That street's gonna come in there, and it's going to run parallel with the freeway, along the freeway, until it hits property that was sold to the Commonwealth. And that's how, in phase 2 of our plan for community drive, we have acquired a grant from the state, and they will be assisting in widening West Mississippi, underground storm drains. Bringing that in now, when you come in off of West Mississippi, you can turn back to your left and go down and hit community drive. But it's only gonna be accessible from up the upper end of the freeway to Auto Auction. The way they used to, just gonna go down and try to go down West Mississippi without interfering with any of the.
Is that what's been shown right there with that road?
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with the names as Mayor is. When y'all had a preliminary sketch plat of the property that the city purchased, this is what Kyle sent me. He showed me this right of way that y'all had planned to construct, and then this cul-de-sac here that was part of that commercial development. I think another thing that helps get the bearings, you know the storage facility?
Yes, nice guy.
Is that yours?
That's where he was.
Oh, that's what you were asking. That's what you were asking. You were asking where we were. This is your building that you see here.
Okay. Yeah, still a nice guy.
Yeah.
It's debatable.
Do you have anything here showing that development any clearer?
Yeah. Yeah, the
For
city's
streets
development.
with the community drive and the cul-de-sac, I'm a little confused about.
I may have missed that. I don't think I've seen that.
We've not seen
Yeah.
that, we've not seen any of that. The planning zone hadn't seen any of that. See, Smitty property.
Well, that's still weird.
Yeah. Yeah. There was
At
a
least he
re-
tells us where
there
we
was a
sit.
rezone, they just voted out.
Some things are no-brainers, right? Just sit there and think.
I guess we're gonna have to be quiet now, and that's since we're getting paid.
No more begging for pizza,
It's like buy our own now.
It's gonna be really nice.
Yeah, it's been easy after a while.
That could be a two-access road, like, only one way?
You're gonna enter the auto auction.
I mean,
Yeah, but we'll just go into the auto.
The only way out, I
auction.
guess, will be back to D-Way.
Well, that meets
First
that
security.
commercial drive. It could meet the commercial drive if you come off D-Wood.
and we can, in Jacksonville, all their access roads
Okay.
are, yeah, way to the side.
Yeah.
There's phase one, you can drive, and up here.
This map is not updated.
Phase two, right
That
here,
is not shown.
this is the line right here for the auto walk.
That's them, okay.
9 acres of auto walk, right there, a little over 9 acres. And then the cul-de-sac here
This is the-
comes in and turn.
See,
But
that's a,
up here is the, people let down the block.
And on this line here
by the lake,
is,
that lake, low density. I know that, but I'm saying, what we're showing, it's not.
So you'll be able to access that from that commercial drive that's coming off of D-Wood?
You won't, the only thing you're gonna be able to access from,
Be west Mississippi.
yes.
So it's gonna be a drive for them.
What I mean? So, right here, where we go up into this remaining 9 acres that's owned by the city, you can turn right, loop around the property line and get West Mississippi and go out. Or up here, you can come off West Mississippi and come up and run along the freeway and get the property line for Ottawa. Yes. And,
But your previous drawing that shows the drive out, it looks way south of what I'm hearing the mayor say. I might be wrong.
so maybe,
Yeah, that's what I misunderstood too. I didn't see that. So,
See, that looks way south. That looks like almost on the north end of your property.
Because I'm right here.
Yeah, that's what I'm not understanding.
Look at the change.
well, I think what it would change for us is where the main drive comes in to our property.
so James, you have on the drawing from the last city, copy from how, where we just submitted over to the highway department last month.
That,
I don't know what.
I think that August drawing was, that we just looked at, I think was the latest.
And it would show a very picture. But
Maybe we hadn't looked on
when you pull down to here, when it stops right there, this goes into this 9 acres of city. We're gonna turn right, and go right up here, and go out West Mississippi. Or we're gonna come here and go into this property right down here.
Which for us, the impact it looks like would be, this main entrance would be further to the north.
Probably north of most of that park.
Which I don't think creates.
Which, I mean, all you gotta do is shuffle that around.
Correct.
I mean, it doesn't change the material of the product.
So, as we were submitting these, we weren't even sure about the timing of all that, so,
Yes.
I'm sorry, was that probably accept,
Yes, he did a review on the drainage.
yeah, he just wanted to.
He just wanted me to get the calculations
Come in on
in.
Mississippi, they come in with the wind meter, they can come in like we're
Well,
coming in
the only
now.
way they come in on Beebe Henry is they come in on, come off of Community Drive and come up and go right and then come back and hit the truck.
So it'd be grossly inconvenient.
You can do it, but it's a straight shot coming off the freeway to hit West Mississippi, going straight into them. It's a straight shot. They come the other way and they have to look back up.
I think it's important to do it the way you're talking about too. Otherwise, you're gonna have all the cars trying to get out
Right.
on
And that's-
Dewey instead of Mississippi.
And that's why there's not one on the lower end going in this, hit there. That's why we call it traffic up here.
Okay.
You don't, the goal wouldn't have anybody really come to the auction.
That's showing the city.
That's why you're.
This is C2 highway, but
That
this is
makes, I like it.
residential. It should have been brought in this highway. Why we got it?
So is even the city stuff?
Yes, it's still, we haven't done the rezone ordinance yet.
To this point, while it was just discussed, I want to not answer the mayor's question. When we were submitting these, we weren't even sure if this was going to be built before or after what we were trying to do. So CAA, I should say, is kind of mentally prepared themselves for the fact that this may be built and open and operational, and they may still be accessing it from, which would be inconvenient for a time, but we didn't want to build for, we wanted to build it for future setup, not for current, even if it meant operations were a little bit inconvenient at first. So,
Is this just a pre-construction hearing, James? Do we need to approve anything?
Kyle's done his review and we're good on the drainage. Now, there is gonna have to be some rezoning done on this. There is gonna be some the city's property is still gonna have to be rezoned C2.
The part that they bought from the city, or?
Yes,
All of them.
yeah. Well, all the city's
So
property.
there's nothing that we need to vote on tonight.
I think what we were looking for tonight, and if I'm speaking out of turn, I apologize. It's just approval of the site plan generally. We're moving through the pricing stage of this right now and wanted to make sure that the site plan was agreeable to the planning commission.
Motion.
It's a motion and a second, and
The commission is good with the ingress and egress, right?
No, they've got city street they're coming in on now. I don't think we can always do that.
Okay.
A quick question. As my daughter's part of management there, should I recuse myself from,
that's totally your discretion.
I think probably be best.
I agree, it's totally your call. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the site plan as discussed this evening, right?
Correct.
Okay, all in favor say aye. All opposed?
Thank you. And we understand there's zoning issues to work out. I may try to visit with the mayor and see if we could tackle that at the same time with the
I'll
city.
have Cal send you that last draft to the state highway department.
Okay, thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Do we need a break for a minute, or we proceed, guys? Tell me. 5-minute break.
You abstain.
I'm sorry about that. It's not I don't think it's going to create a problem for us. I kept waiting for Well, there's been a lot of internal decision points for us, and I think we got past that this week. So I'm ready for final pricing, finances. So I think we got time to work it out. I need to stay on it, but I don't think it's going to create a problem. It would make sense for me to probably meet with the mayor, maybe just do all that rezoning on the city's property.
That's what I was hoping would happen, you know, but it's kind of.
I'm probably because the city's doing that as a commercial development. I just don't have something as a commercial, but I should have checked. So it's okay.
No, that's on me. That's on me.
We'll get it worked out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They probably like, oh, we'll be to tomorrow.
To come up with a new price for the amenities that are.
I don't think you
Or do we go ahead and do?
Or you didn't agree to it. The guys like the thing, probably the same.
Because when does the rezone have to be submitted? Is it this Friday?
Yes.
So yes, I mean, that gives us 2 days to try to put all these amenities together. Or do you want to spend a little bit more time and submit? Because the rezone has to be submitted because of advertising. Right? Yes. So we can submit you a sketch like a week later with the amenities that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's.
We'll go ahead and
I
proceed
don't want
with
to
the
do
rest of
something
the
rash
agenda.
just to get.
Next item is Southwind Storage Expansion. You're busy man tonight.
Glad they're together.
Oh, are they?
All right, I think this one is a little less complex. This is a proposed expansion of Southwind Storage. We submitted this site plan through James for y'all to review. This is at the, I'm sure you're familiar with the location. Building that's currently shared with Ace Hardware. And so there's a big asphalt parking lot out front. Southwind Storage is proposing to expand into that parking area. Currently, that parking is more than adequate. I think that's an understatement. They've got way more parking than they need, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But not as much storage as they need based on their current capacity and how much of that's currently being rented. So this is a mixture of some mostly non-climate, but a little bit of climate-controlled storage. As far as drainage is concerned, there's not an increase in impervious area because it's all paved currently. So this entire development is within the footprint of the area that's currently paved as parking lot. So we would be restriping the portion of parking to remain. Right now, I think the striping's pretty well faded in that area, but just to make sure that Ace has adequate parking and access. So.
All the parking that you've got up there that you're restriping, is that reserved for the hardware store? Because it looks like it's on one side of the fence, or is that multi-use parking?
Well,
Yeah.
for the most part, it's hardware. I mean, I can't say no one would ever park there that was there to visit the storage office, but that'd be a pretty irregular event. But that's the case right now. There's not a clear defined parking area for Ace and storage.
But you'll retain the current parking that's in front of the access to the storage of the climate control storage area, right?
Well, a portion of it, I guess, maybe I'm not. Right now, I guess I'll go for one if that's okay. Maybe. This hatch here is the existing building here. So the eastern portion, that's part of the climate control with the access from within the gate. Which is here. Now, if you pulled in and you're needing to go to Ace, we're taking this one way so that you're not stuck there at a gate trying, that would be bad if you were having to back out, but you can still get to Ace from that entrance. But mainly this would be the primary entrance for Ace Hardware. And we've kept 27 parking spaces out in front of Ace, or 28, I should say. And 8 on the side.
You want to see?
And they're currently in the striping. So everything is in striping.
So this is gonna be storage buildings out on the parking lot?
We be demoing a portion of the paving.
How's that gonna look along the main road there?
Yeah, in a previous version, we had not kept this lane, so there would be storage facing the highway, which I think probably for y'all is not ideal, garage storage. But this is set up with the fencing on, the building becomes the fence, I guess. There's a lane between, of traffic between that storage building.
Are these are they block structures or?
They're pretty metal.
So basically, you still won't have the building there regardless. They think I have a garage there. Basically.
Well, I'm going to speak in the if there are garage doors, then that's a problem. If, like we get off reps of landscaping or something on that side, but also.
But that, I mean, are those gonna meet our design specs because of the proximity to the road?
James,
Building frontage is what you're getting at.
it's gonna be.
You have thoughts on that?
What was the comment?
Design of,
Sorry,
the
what?
architect's design of the building frontage is what we're running into.
Right.
I mean, maybe it's just me, but
We're
I'm a
talking
little,
setbacks.
I'm a little concerned about how it's gonna look right against the main street through
He's
town.
saying that it's just gonna be just the prefabricated metal there, and the question at hand would be the road frontage beautification, standards on with that, is the question at hand.
Which on facade
I think that would be the brick height facade.
Wouldn't this be a situation where they would have to screen themselves? Or not? No?
How is this set back from the other buildings and surrounding buildings? How is it gonna,
It's gonna be vastly closer to the road,
That's what
like vastly.
well, I mean, is this gonna fit in our suitability of attractiveness of the surrounding area? I don't think it is. I think it's gonna look like mini storages on Main Street.
I agree, that's what I'm trying to
I'm
avoid.
100% agree.
For the record, I'm gonna abstain because me and the Watsons are friends and I compete in 2 markets with them, so I'm not gonna offer any comment about it. I'm gonna stay.
I think the current zoning allows for storage.
Behind the fences. The ones that are on that, now that are on the main road, behind fences.
That's highway frontage, so it should be permitted. 14.7.5 is, what's it in a,
I just don't wanna do anything to detract from the main street through town, if we can avoid it.
it is permitted C2 highway frontage. But what I was getting at is we have a provision in there for design of buildings and the architectural design of buildings there.
James, normally, I mean, the front of a building or the wall closest to the road would have to have something other than just metal panels, wouldn't it?
Okay, so, the facade of the existing building, that the office is in, that the hardware store, that would be fine. Now, how are we gonna treat this? How are we gonna treat these structures? Are they accessory structures? Or are they their own structure? If they are, they would have to meet the building, design standards. They would have to be a facade designated and meet the building design standards.
We're not asking for a variance from the facade requirements of the building standards for the city. So that, I guess that's the point I would make, is that it's zoned properly, we've met the front setback. We're not asking for any variance from y'all's facade
I
requirements.
just want to be clear that you know what that is, or that we all know what it is, because I'm not saying I'm abundantly clear. But for me personally, the north wall, that's, I don't know what the distance is, but it's 40, maybe 50 feet, maybe 60 feet from the center line of DeWitt Henry. I don't personally think it's in the city's best interest that it just be a 9-foot tall metal panel.
We're about
Everybody
at least 60 feet from the
14.7.2,
curb.
section E. 14.7.2, section E.
Section E.
Yeah. Dot 2.1 section, sorry. Design standards. And that kind of, it sums it up. Facade or front of the building or any visible side of the building shall be composed of architectural building materials. This shall include any facade that fully faces a public street. I don't know. I mean, it's, what we're looking at is it going to be just a panel?
What was that,
with
of
all the doors
architectural materials, I think is what that called for? What qualifies as architectural materials?
Well, there's a list of 10 different things there.
Sure.
Exterior insulation finish system, brick panel, architectural split
Rock.
concrete blocks, glass, precast concrete, native stone, or mortar, wood, tile, stucco, aluminum composite panels, hardy plank or fiber cement, metal panel with concealed fasteners, metal siding with a sine wave pattern. May not exceed 30% of the total area of any facade wall.
So 30% of.
And there's several additional comments there that would be applicable.
Well, I thought I would for 39.
So,
Just for distance.
I'm not city attorney, but the wall on the
Without-
structure nearest the street
yeah.
would almost certainly have to have some dress up.
Sure.
Or what about a tall fence? Would the commission consider that?
Well, can we consider that?
We have some flexibility in what we do in interpreting some of this stuff.
I think
I didn't want to see the fence. I mean, to me, that might make it
I
worse.
don't know, I mean, when I look at your storage out there, I know you're not coming, but I look at your storage, you've got fencing down there, it fully conceals it. You know, we know what's back there, but someone driving through there's not gonna see any of the happenings that are going on.
I think
He's a good guy, too.
But this is gonna be closer to the street than the car wash, I think.
It'll be right on public drive, yeah. It'll be-
And so, I mean, what we're talking about being the front of their building is
I mean, he's got a.
100 feet or more.
Maybe a 12-foot driveway, and then you've got just some dirt and turnoffs in front of that.
we're
You're
long.
not changing the outer
And then would you have to
curb
fence
right?
along the, what would be, I guess, the east side?
That's right.
Car wash,
Sorry?
just car wash.
So a couple things, just I think we're a little further from the roadway than is being discussed. We have a 20 and a half foot wide driveway, which will remain. Then a 26.2 feet of green space before we ever get to the right of way. And then there's an additional about 30 to 35 feet of green space before the curb on DeWitt Henry. So we're 65 to 70 feet off of the curb.
Yeah, but there's not gonna be any doors on this side, right? No roll-up doors or anything, right? Because otherwise, somebody parking there unloaded is gonna be blocking that road.
Well, it's one way and it's 20 feet wide, so they wouldn't be blocking it.
Or there will be roll-up doors on this side.
I believe there will be some, but what my second comment was, I think both myself and the developer are certainly willing to work with James to ensure that that facade meets y'all's ordinance, and if that means dressing up that side some, I think we're okay with that.
I don't know that it would meet that with having the doors or access on that side, especially blocking that. If that's what you're saying. I just want to be clear. I think at first you were saying that, I know you're probably the preliminary stage, so it could be changed. So is the entire thing for sure going to be no doors or access that's going to block that road?
No, I don't want to say that because I'm not certain of that, that there won't be any doors on that side. I think there will be some, but the drive, my point I was making was it's a 20-foot wide one-way drive, so even if someone was pulled up parallel to their unit there, they're still,
So somebody like,
somebody could drive by.
so
them.
again, they would just see the units that could potentially be open, I guess would be the problem that wrong with our issue.
My only
The
concern
frontage,
is,
I'm just
what does
saying.
it look like when you drive through the main? Does it look like we even have a planning commission or not? I don't.
If you're backing a trailer into that, you're cutting off as.
And if we don't require something,
Saying if you were to back
then
a
other
trailer
people that have
road.
invested on both sides of this, I mean, you got a council member here tonight that's got millions of dollars invested there. Why would we want to do something to detract?
What if we adjust to where we change some of those building widths such that that northernmost building that faces the highway doesn't have any units accessible from that side? It would just be a building facade.
That would be ideal, and then also meet the beautification standard, the front, standards to the road.
Yeah, because if you continue reading on the requirements, the front entrance to the building shall be covered and well articulated, shall not consist solely of a door opening on a flat vertical plane. The building shall not represent a single box-like structure or resemble a temporary or portable building. The building must have encased steel rebar, blah, 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 blah. So basically, it can't just be a long flat wall with the door opening on it anyways.
Could I ask you all to table this till next month and let me work on this, I'm gonna bring it back to you? Sounds like we need to do some work before it's agreeable.
Move to table the proposal.
Second.
Prayer request, proper motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have one abstention.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir, thank you. All right, I know we discussed generally the PDD stuff before, but Mr. Lindsay, we have a couple of items on the agenda we may want to discuss further.
Aaron, which one do you want to look at first?
I'm just gonna discuss them both at the same time.
Property.
Since we beat this horse. I'm Aaron Robinson, Bond Engineering. There's two properties that we were looking at doing a PDD as well for Mr. Lindsay. One's on Highway 64, and one is the property that he bought from the city. And I had a couple of questions. You answered most of them. I mean, whenever I submitted the sketch, I love the dialogue y'all had. I think it was really great. Because some of the questions I had was, do you want a park? Do you want walking trails? I cut it up into 50-foot wide lots to see what the maximum density could be. But there were, some other aspects of what would you all as a planning commission actually like to see within a PDD. And I think the dialogue you had actually answered a lot of those questions. So we've talked about revising both sketches in order to bring back some amenities that I think would be palatable to you all. One thing I would encourage y'all to do, however, is if you'll look in West Little Rock, there's a lot of PDDs. They're not PUDs, they're actually PDDs in West Little Rock. One of them is called Copper Run. It is just south of Costco. They're 50-foot wide lots. They're about 75 foot deep. They are about, the side yards are around 2 or 3 feet. And every house in there sells for over $500,000. The one thing that I don't like about it that the developer did was they did 15-foot front yard setbacks. You can park 2 cars in the driveway. That's it, 2. So there is a lot of parking on the street. There's a lot of issues with that. Both of our sketches, and I think even Mr. Lemon's sketch, we had to set back a little bit farther in order to get more cars off the street. But there's no park, there's no green space, there are sidewalks, but it is, if you look at it from a Google, it is house right next to house, right next to house. And there are several of them over in West Little Rock that are like that.
What's the price range on these developments you're talking about on houses?
Well, that'd be a question for Mr. Lindsay. I have no
230.
The subdivisions that you're referring to in West Little Rock, do they have, is it all one landscape crew does everything?
No.
So what's the purpose of this development, other than just the smaller lots? What is the design feature that sets that subdivision apart from
Just the smaller lots.
That's it?
That's it. That's the whole reason I have the PDD is to have the smaller lots. Yeah, like I said, there's one entrance. There's no other entrances into the subdivision. There's over 100 lots. I can't even figure out how. The reason I know about the subdivision is where my father-in-law had to move to. And I've done a lot of research. Some of the differences they do, they irrigate all their yards.
But they're $500,000 houses.
They're $500,000 houses, but they do mow their own grass. They landscape. Everybody's landscape is different. The one thing that is common is between all the houses is rock. There's not enough room for the sun to get in there to have any grass growing, so they put rock between all the houses.
Where do they park their RVs and boats?
I haven't seen any RVs or boats, to be honest. So they probably park them at a storage facility.
So that might be in a HOA or something, restrict.
It may be.
Trailers and all that.
And maybe we need to ask the city attorney, if, you know, or someone, if we were to look at, you know, your revised ideas next month, we like them, can we have provisions in the language that we approve that requires things like you can't park an RV there, or you can't park a boat there, or you're limited to only X car? I don't know what's legal.
Well,
I'm not
I mean,
trying to
we
micromanage anybody, but.
I mean, a lot of those issues like fencing, parking, you know, cattle, dogs, all that can be addressed in the bill of assurance.
But unless that's changed, that's between landowners, and the city basically has no enforcement or right, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, it's a civil suit. But anyway, I did like the dialogue, got a lot of answers that I had, questions to, but I just
I'm
wanted to bring
optimistic
that
we
up.
come up with something that
Yeah.
most of us will be proud of, I hope.
But I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming. Are there any other items that we need to discuss this evening?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lindsay, let me ask you, last month we asked if you would work on that easement for the Belgrade Phase 2 there. Have you got any progress on that yet?
I did, I got a easement today from Tim Lemons, and I haven't printed off to present to the mayor yet. Calfrac and Kelton are pushing back pretty hard. City's got a piece of ground there that I want to ask the mayor about letting us cut a swell in there and taking the water over, take our discharge structure and let it come over on that piece of property.
You're talking about going due south then, right?
Yes, sir.
Have you had anybody look at that collector to see what its capacity is?
No, I would assume Tim would done calculations on that, but
Either
upgrading
Tim or you're
that-
gonna have to get with RDOT since they're the one that put it in when they widened there.
Okay.
All
I'll
right,
get with Tim on that, and make sure they can accept that much water.
all right, keep us posted, thank you.
Will do, thank you.
I don't recall seeing this. It's a draft ordinance regarding,
That was some of the same questions that we had as what y'all had with the city attorney, and he put something up there just as a draft to show that maybe a PDD with a smaller lot line and conditions on it.
is it okay if I share this with all the
Yeah.
members?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a picture of this, James, you may have a better copy, but I'm gonna take a picture of both of these, and I'm gonna send them to the distribution list that we got today about the meeting.
And if
So
the city
everybody will
council
have one
wants
of
to
them.
give us updates on the PDD requirements, we'd love to be able to operate them under any kind of new standards.
Oh, that was the city attorney that drafted that, so that you could look at a 50-foot lot in a PDD. But again, by the time you do these things, a developer, you know what I'm saying, if you want to go into an upscale, it's an upscale. I've been to a lot of places that, and looked at 50-foot lot houses with 5-foot yard, and they're built higher off the ground. They have sidewalks, they have alleyways, they have, each house design is different. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, they're popping up like at Harding's got, there's some in by Harding and some by College and Conway.
And it can be done, but I don't think the status or what, that's something separate from affordable housing where we're being submitted, that's something totally different. But, and when I talked to the planner at Municipal, he said, you know, if you just do a PDD with smaller lots, it's gonna require a little more enforcement. You know, people, like you said, are gonna have boats, they can't have boats, they can't have cars parked in the street, they can't have nothing but driveways, maybe carport's gotta be for the car, not storage, you know. So it requires a stronger zoning code too.
I agree. Any other discussion?
I'll just throw this out here. We are looking at a location to build some additional storages in a bigger town, honestly. Their requirements, blanket, in every storage facility is under conditional use. That way, planning
I like
zoning,
it.
planning zoning can say,
Uh-uh.
you know, I don't think that's a fit here and there, and that may not be something we want. But I'm just, this is what I ran into with the
What about did anybody?
I'm trying to think of a reason not to do that. Right now, I'm blank.
That's,
With townhouses
those are
and is that considerable? Yeah.
Anybody feel real strongly about that? I mean, that's something we ought to send to the
For the
council?
meetings, I hadn't
I think the only requirement we have, mini storage additional
I mean, that's
uses
gonna
is
be
that
given
there's
to
an
you.
on-site
Yep.
resident,
Never do it home.
manager there. That's the view that we probably have.
So here, pass it around. Thank you. This is a proposed development on Duggar Road.
Same 50-foot rocks we've been talking
Yeah,
about.
it's like 50-foot
Did you
lots.
say Duggar?
Duggar Road, yes.
Is this the one that's just outside of the planning district there?
No, it's in the district.
No, it's in the planning, it's in the
Within
planning area.
district, But outside city limits?
Yes, partially outside city limits.
So everything that we have on the table right now with residential is 50-foot lot request. Am I wrong?
This is a different developer that has called me numerous times, and I've spoke with them numerous times, and they're submitting this, and I'm assuming it's gonna be on your next.
But it's no different when we looked at it tonight, there's not a single amenity, and it looks like it's
Does
got
it fall
multiple.
within the guidelines of a PDD? I can't answer that.
Then it being a gated community, that's.
But here's the thing, I don't think that they should go out and spend a bunch of money on a preliminary plat and engineering if it's not gonna be considered. We should say, tell them it's not gonna be considered.
I think it'd be safe for James to tell them.
Today, I think that's true. I mean, it might not be true a month from now or two if we can
But that's
get some
what is that,
streams.
around 500, it's got townhouses, it's got apartments, it's got, green space, it has.
Well, this is
single
mixed
family
use, so it's a
dwellings.
little different.
Yeah, it's
again,
mixed
maybe.
use.
It's mixed use.
Mixed use gated community.
That's a multifamily gated, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sure, folks would need it.
Gonna need to move back downtown with all the pews.
Our tables this way, because then you go up to here.
Clearly, this is a challenge we need to address in some way.
This road we're gonna have
Just so you know, I did offer the engineer on this project the same opportunity as Aaron here to come in and speak to you tonight. He chose not to.
I believe they're gonna submit it.
Say that again, please.
I think they're gonna submit it at the next, with all the, everything, so.
Is it safe to say that we don't have 50-foot lots and we don't consider that a PDD?
They know all that.
I think, I mean, I'm just one, I don't even vote unless there's a tie, but there's gotta be some strings that give some people a level of comfort. If you're gonna shrink things down, there's gotta be some kind of concrete way to handle traffic, parking, all the other things that's been
And
mentioned, I
that's key.
think. True. The fourth of our city 20 years ago, I guess, in one. Any further questions, discussion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is made and second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, we are adjourned. Thank you for coming.